Do you ever watch those shows like, I don't know, anything Marvel or Invincible these days, or, any other show that has a multiverse in it where there's like, the same characters from all different timelines and stuff like that? That's kind of how I feel recording this video right now, because I'm recording this on the 19th, but I have videos recorded and scheduled throughout the rest of the month, so it's honestly hard for me to remember what's already recorded and talked about and uploaded versus what's already been scheduled and is going live soon. So it gets a little weird when I'm doing like champion reviews. I know I actually did like gameplay of my live arena, and it was before I uploaded, which still has yet to go live, by the way, so I'm still talking about this, my Lammasu review. So it's weird, but here we are. By the time you watch this video, I think both of those videos will already be live too, so it's a whole kind of time travel thing going on. All that being said, though, to get to the point, today we are doing Siege, a Siege breakdown. This is episode 6 of the Siege breakdown on the channel. As you can see, this is probably going to be a pretty quick breakdown because we were going against Oblivion Trees, OBV Trees. They're from the Oblivion cluster. They are ranked number 272 in the entire world. We are ranked 185. We are climbing, ladies and gentlemen, but they decided that this wasn't their siege. They weren't going to win this siege. So we have a total of 4,850 for points so far, hoping we can get to the 5,000. And they have a total of 150. They haven't taken down our stronghold or anything like that. I'm going to go ahead and show some footage on the screen here now of the attacks that I made. I was very disappointed with my attacks. I used all of my rebattles on one particular team, which I'll probably show first. And it just absolutely spread my cheeks. And I did not win. I won the second attack, though, which was pretty nice. So let's go ahead here. Let's kind of break down and take a look at what they were doing on the defense side. So we'll see if there's any sort of notable defenses that held strong. As always, I'm not really too interested in showcasing defenses that were just beaten the first time, because obviously there's not really anything too special about your defense if it was taken down without really a struggle, right? So you can kind of see from pretty much all of these defenses, they were just taken down without really too much of a struggle, so far at least. But we get to this mana shrine, and it looks like there was a little bit more here. Now, I'm not sure. Okay, so it's not. I was wondering if it... Okay, it does show multiple times if somebody rebattles it, which is a bit of a shame because it makes these defenses look deceptively strong. So, like, it says show battle log 3, so I thought it took them, like, 3 times to beat it. But no, it was actually just a rebattle as well. So that's a bit misleading, certainly. For example, this one here, obviously a bunch of rebattles going into that, so nothing too crazy there. We got the defense tower over here. The defenses were all taken down pretty easily apart from this one, which did require a couple of tries to beat. So this is like essentially one of the better team compositions that you're going to see these days when it comes to non-mythicals, in my humble opinion. And that's going to be Siphi, Harima, and then generally some sort of control and tank on top of that, right? Because it's so deadly to have, obviously, the Harima's ignore defense decreasing passive. You have Siphi's increased defense, which is setting up Harima to be a nuker. And then you have like a control champion in there, like an Armands or, a Lissandra, whoever you want, really. It's such a deadly team to try and go up against. Siphi's A1 makes it so that you almost have to bring a UDK, as you see here. So the team that beat it brought a UDK because Siphi has so much goddamn crowd control on her A1, considering it can't be resisted, right? So a very, very strong team composition, in my opinion. There's been some chatter out there, you know who you are, primarily in my Discord, that Harima just isn't that good anymore, and I wholeheartedly disagree, and I think the entirety of the raid community wholeheartedly disagrees with that as well. Harima is one of the best DPS champions that we have inside the game, and she's also incredibly strong for survival, right? Like, she brings so much to the table. Now, these are all rebattles as well, so we won't really focus on the mana shrine too much. We already took a look at this defense tower. Defense tower over here fell down without really too much of a struggle as well. And you can see what's interesting about this is I don't know if we were just like outmatched, or rather if they were outmatched, or if they just didn't try too hard, or what happened specifically, because like, they set proper defenses. These are all fairly decent teams, but we just plowed through them without really too much of a struggle. So let's go ahead and take a look. Stronghold seems to have fallen without really too much contention. Arbaeus combined with Armands and The horse I can get behind, but also putting an additional damage dealer in there is a little bit more questionable. I think this fella probably would have been better off having like some sort of a support champion in there, right? Like, so maybe a Duchess or maybe a Sifi or something like that if you have it. This team's absolutely nasty. We have a team here that definitely held strong quite a bit. So a 6-star Awakened Narcisse along with Crixia. I'm going to go ahead and move myself over, actually, just so you guys can kind of see the battle logs a little bit more in depth there. But a 800,000 player power on 4 champions, one of which is a mythical. That's actually a pretty crazy team composition. So 29 million, yeah, I'd certainly expect decent things. As you can see, it looks like we were trying to run bombs into him, which is interesting, especially, well, yeah, it makes sense. There's not a whole lot of... yeah, I don't even know, to be honest, because if the Ancora resists, she can just straight up cleanse. You have Freya, who's going to keep Narcisse alive no matter what, right? So that's a bit interesting. We have the rest of these teams kind of falling without too much contention. Same kind of thing here. We're running bombs into it. Lammasu is quickly showing up in a lot of teams is something I've noticed, by the way. Even just scrolling through the stronghold here, like looking at how many teams actually beat this contain Lammasu, like... There's so many. There's so many. And I think she absolutely deserves to be here. I am of the opinion that Lammasu is a vastly underrated champion. She is so incredibly good. Let's go take a look at her kit really quick, just because I want to talk about her a little bit. And it's relevant to this because obviously everybody's going to get her from Siege, right? And you hear people talking all the time about how, oh, well, if she had buff strip, you know, she'd be an amazing champion. Yes. She would be meta-defining if she had a buff strip on her kit, right? Her A3 alone allowed me to replace my Newt inside Chimera and still 1-key both Nightmare and almost 1-key Ultra Nightmare. I was less than 1 million damage away from it. Video coming soon on the team composition. This is an insane A3, and then obviously her A2 is incredibly strong as well, but more importantly for Siege, she's also bringing a speed in all battles by 24%. This is one of the strongest all battle speed auras in the entire frickin' game, and you're getting it for free just by participating in Siege, right? I do think they should add Siege as a potential area that we can vote as well, essentially. Also, Plarium, if you're watching this, make these recommended artifacts something that we can vote for. Make it so that it's like, hey, 78% of players are running her with speed boots. Like, what is this trash? You're not going to build her out in life set speed boots. That's not how this works. Like, you don't even have the options in here for updated sets. Like, nobody's going to run her in regular speed set anymore. It's going to be like Perception or, you know, some sort of garbage like that, right? So, not garbage, but you know what I mean. Update this, please. I keep talking about this. And then she's immune to sheep as well. So, Armanz's A3 is not going to do anything to her. And then also, the second part of her A3, or her passive rather, each debuff placed by this champion decreases the target's turn meter by 5% and permanently decreases their resistance and accuracy by 10, stacks up to 100. This means, essentially, that your champions are going to need, like, you know, 50 less accuracy, and they're going to need, like, 100 less resistance to get past whatever you're trying to fight, right? Because if you're decreasing their resistance by 100, generally it's kind of like a 2-to-1 ratio almost for resisting versus accuracy in most cases. Well, not 2-to-1, sorry, that's very inaccurate. You need roughly 100 resistance more than the accuracy, I think, is how the calculation goes. It's been so long since I looked at it. Somebody correct me down in the comments if I'm wrong. Resistance meta is all but dead these days, so nobody really talks about it anymore. But alas, back into the Siege, I accidentally clicked Cursed City, and we'll go ahead and take a look at essentially how our side did. So I'm not too sure how my defenses held, because I have not actually looked at this yet. So Defense Tower 1, it doesn't even look like they've gotten to us yet. They literally... Oh my god, this is like depressingly bad. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't look at our board yet. I was just looking at their board. Essentially, this is so bad. They defeated 3 of our posts. But let me show you the defenses. So the first defense that we have here is Marichka, Taurus, Crixia, and Freya. I wanted to try something a little bit different. I obviously usually run my UDK with this team. I've showcased this team a lot, but I wanted to try Freya in here to bring somebody with a block debuffs, because how I was getting countered a lot of the time was with, for example, like stuns and those sorts of things, because if I wasn't running Ancora, obviously there's nobody there to eat the CC, and I didn't want to run Ancora in that team, so I wanted to try Freya and see how she goes. Plus, she brings so much tankiness with her, like her Giga Shields. Her increased defense as well is so incredibly strong. It's giving more buffs for Taurus's A3, and then obviously it's just helping keep everybody alive. Really wish I got to see how that performed. My second defense is Lammasu in the lead. Again, people, Lammasu is amazing. Harima, Pythion, and Mikage. If you've seen my video that I recorded earlier today, but will be going live after this one, so Gary from the other multiverse was talking about how I actually took some gear off Pythion, so he's significantly weaker now, unfortunately, but, you know, it is what it is, right? So let's go ahead and let's take a look at the attack side of things again here. Just want to double check some of these towers and make sure I didn't miss anything too interesting, which it doesn't look like I did, though, so that's pretty nice. Everything went down pretty easily here. I'm very curious to hear from you guys in the comments section if there's any sort of unique teams or strategies that you guys use inside Siege. And I do have a Discord as well, which I have been promoting a little bit more recently, so make sure to hop into the Discord if you have questions or if you want to share anything, all that sort of good stuff. Trying to grow the community, of course. I do giveaways in there sometimes too, not necessarily raid related content, but more so like games on Steam and those sorts of things. So if you're interested in bolstering your Steam library, that's definitely a good way to do it too. I have like 750 games at this point, so I'm not struggling by any means, so I can kind of start giving back if that makes sense in terms of, you know, game library at least. Money, on the other hand, different question, especially with a pit like Raid Shadow Legends in my life, certainly. But that being said, I also would like to hear from anyone who may have watched this far what your most annoying mythical to fight against is. So obviously there's certain mythicals that are just, you know, annoying no matter who it is, and I think for me at least that mythical is going to be Galathir. He's one of my most wanted champions. I mean, for obvious reasons, he's ridiculously good, right? But he is also super annoying to go against all the time in live arena. So if I were to be able to take someone out of the game, or if I were to be able to give him to my account but nobody else, that's probably who it would be. That being said, though, I'm interested to read your comments. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next time.